I grew up in the 80s in a town in Florida called Sonodasassa. Back then, there wasn't too much to do there. But we did have trucks, cows, and lots of wildlife. One night, I heard commotion outside my trailer. And to my surprise, I found a raccoon eating out of my cat's bowl. Every night she would return for her meal, and every night she would get little more used to me. She even started eating out of my hand. But obviously, petting her was out of the question. One night, she brought a friend. The next night, another. Then another, and another. Pretty soon, we had a full-fledged raccoon luau in our front yard. This made sleeping really hard, especially when the raccoons were WWFing it on top of the trailer every single night. I was playing Donkey Kong on my Atari 2600 until I heard a bam, bam, bam. I rushed out and found a raccoon hanging on the side of the trailer. He had clearly lost his footing. So I grabbed a ladder to help, and this happened. Well, that didn't work, so I tried lifting the ladder to him. And this happened. So, one of the females had a baby and would bring him every morning for breakfast. Unlike the others, this little guy would let me pet him. Because he was raised around me means he's obviously domesticated. So one morning I boldly decided to pick him up. And he did nothing. He was so cute. I must poke his little nose before I bring him inside to show my... So, we got a hold of some fireworks. The kind that were illegal in Florida. Thank you, Georgia. And this kept us busy for a whole week. And because we had zero parental supervision, we had a blast doing stupid stunts. We ran out of fireworks and it was like, party over. But then, I had a totally awesome idea. Let's make our own fireworks. So we scavenged around the yard to make this totally awesome firework. And when the totally awesome firework was done, it wasn't light. So my brother was like, try this. And we did. We freaked out. If the fire spreads just a few more inches, our trailer was gone. How were we going to put it out? I snapped out of it. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was going to smother this fire with a log. My brother was the one who had enough sense to grab that hose. Once the fire was out, we were pretty traumatized. Maybe this experience had a bigger effect on us than we realized at the time. My brother grew up to be a firefighter. As for me, I became a fire performer. Ever since I was a young child, I loved drawing. When I was in grade school, I decided I wanted to be an animator when I grew up. Lucky for me, an animation studio opened up in a well-known amusement park in 1989. It was only an hour away from my hometown. So at the age of 18, I totally applied for their internship program. I applied again. A couple of years and about 20 rejections later, I landed a job at that very amusement park. just to get my foot in the door. There's one particular portfolio submission I'll never forget. It took me until the night before the deadline to finally finish it. Unfortunately, the next day, I had to work at the attraction that resembled a giant golf ball. I couldn't call out as my record card was already full of call-outs, and one more would surely get me fired. That meant I would have to deliver my portfolio during my 30-minute lunch break. When my relief finally arrived, I bolted to the break room, grabbed my portfolio, and was off. But it wasn't going to be easy. I had to run across the park to the wardrobe department, put my street clothes on, and drive to another part of the property to the casting building. I was making pretty good time until I got stuck behind a rather large truck and couldn't see around it. I took a turn too wide and hit the curb. Oh no! Does my motorcycle still work? Thank you, Jesus. I finally made it to the casting building and delivered my portfolio. I only had 15 minutes to get back to work. I had to hurry. I was doing about 70 when a security guard hiding in the bushes caught me with a radar gun. He then radioed another guard further down the road. He jumped in front of me, demanding that I stop. I was singled out because of my employee parking decal. This was bad, but let me explain why. At the time, park security was under scrutiny for pursuing an employee who had been speeding, something they were not permitted to do. This pursuit tragically ended in a fatal accident, placing the park under considerable pressure. In response, the chief security officer decided to monitor employees' speeds. If caught speeding, it would result in a point on my record. As I mentioned earlier, I was already 1 point away from being fired, and I couldn't let that happen. So I slowed down as if I was going to stop, and when the guard stepped aside, I sped off. I didn't park at the motorcycle parking in front in case they came looking for my motorcycle. I did it. Overcoming every obstacle that stood in my way this time must mean I'm destined to be accepted into the internship program.